Hello everyone, and welcome to this board game overview for Kingdom Death Monsters White Lions AI cards. In this video, I will be covering the AI deck, the main card, and all the different setups that come with it for each level, except the prologue, as that was a separate video entirely, and also in this video, I will be covering Indomitable and Life, as this is the first time that they show up, as well as other things. But, without further ado, let's get to the close-up stuff.
So, our first card is the White Lion's base stat card, which on the back is its basic action, which we'll get to immediately afterwards. But this is what lists everything that you will use for putting together with the deck in general and its baseline stats. We're going to ignore the prologue part here because not only is it a custom deck, I have a whole video where I've covered this, so see that video. But a level 1 White Lion is a monster with 7 basic cards and 3 advance, a 6 movement, and an 8 toughness. This is the baseline, more or less, for all of the early game monsters. This includes the Screaming Antelope and the Gorm, who all have similar baselines, with the same movement and toughness. Now, when going up to a level 2 White Lion, you add 3 basics for a total of 10, 2 advance for a total of 5, 1 movement for a total of 7, 2 for a toughness to 10, and a +1 speed and a +1 damage. Remember, that's an extra die on each attack and an extra damage per hit. And it gains Cunning, which is a trait. Cunning. At the end of the monster's turn, the monster extends its claws. I want to point out, and I won't be doing this often, there is then a break line here. 1, because this is the first break line I'm showing outside of my prologue video. That's what it looks like. And 2, it's very important that it's right there. This is actually one of the reasons that I feel you need dash in order to beat a level 2 or 3 White Lion or some similar effect, because as this is a break line, it means you can use surge or dash right then and there if you haven't already used it for the round. Remember that the monster's turn is the beginning of the round. So, continuing, if there are any adjacent survivors, target 1 at random and full move the White Lion directly away from all threats. Target suffers grab. So the wording on this is a little odd, and it basically means that if you move and anybody is still left behind, they'll still get targeted. Your opportunity to move is before he targets, not after. And grab is explained down below, and this is stated many times during the White Lion and is one of his major mechanics. It is mainly used in a hit reaction, but that's for a different video. Grab. Place the target knocked down in front of the monster. Target suffers 1 damage per monster level, so at least 2 in the case of this card. There is a permanent injury hit location that can result in grab being nullified, which pretty much, no pun intended, neuters a level 2 White Lion, and also to some part a level 1. But continuing. Moving on to a level 3, we have still 10 basics, 4 more advanced cards, and 2 legendary cards, totaling at 21 cards. His movement becomes an 8, his toughness becomes a 14, and that speed and damage are each now a +2. He keeps Cunning, gains Merciless, and Indomitable, as well as 2 accuracy tokens and a +1 luck token, meaning that if you can remove tokens from the monster, they can be removed. These are not permanent increases. But on to Merciless and Indomitable real quick. Merciless, also a trait. This ends up being some make the level 3 White Lion tremendously harder. Archive Beast's Paw, Strange Hand, and Strange Neck from the monster hit location deck. So these are pretty much some very important hit locations. Strange Hands makes it so that you can't ignore the combo claw, and Straining Neck is one of the auto kill locations. The White Lion has 2, so one of them's still in there at a level 3, but 1 less chance, and also technically those are a 1 in 100 chance. They can be lessened, but they still become a 1 in 10 after the crit. And Beast Paw makes it so you can't ignore grab. Also, always treat all survivors as threats, despite any effect that says otherwise, so it's as if Sniff is always in play. And lastly, the cherry on top, double all damage inflicted by grab. So grab does 6 damage. You just want to make sure to avoid it. Then next is Indomitable. This is not a White Lion specific card. This is actually, as of 1.5, a trait that all level 3 and higher monsters have. This was basically Poots' way of going, okay, you see that one gameplay mechanic that you keep doing, which was knocking down the monster repetitively? It doesn't work as well anymore. Not it doesn't work, it just doesn't work as well. Whenever the monster attacks or is attacked, it stands up at the end of that attack. So it makes it so that people can still do the surge chains, but not as strong. As a note, the monster will not stand if a survivor is attacking a minion or another monster. If a survivor attacks during another survivor's attack, the knockdown monster will stand at the end of the new attack. So it pretty much makes it so the surge chains that were happening because you knock somebody down, and a knockdown monster is a moment in which you can activate survival abilities, people would chain kill monsters. It made it so that level 3s aren't tremendously easy to one specific build, and also basically this card alone made the game a lot harder. Remember, this goes on all level 3 plus monsters. So I won't be showing the card again, I'll give a quick reminder of it. And finishing up its base stats is its instinct, Sniff. The white lion sniffs the air and ends its turn. Until the end of the next round, all survivors are now threats, despite any effect that says otherwise. Note, when a level 3 white lion performs Sniff, it gains a +1 accuracy token. It already has 2 to begin with at that point. Also, you're all threats at that point already. Now, for its basic action, we have pick target, closest survivor, in field of view. Then, no target, use Sniff. I'm not repeating no target, hit Sniff from here on out, unless it says otherwise. So assume if something has no target, it has Sniff at the end. Move and attack target, speed 2, accuracy 2, damage 1. Majority of the white lion's attacks are pretty much this. Some of them have some variants, but many of them are the same as his basic action. He is pretty ruthless for the fact that he hits on 2s. Moving on to the basic AI cards, there are 12 of these in total, meaning that all but 2 would get used in a level 3 white lion fight. First off, we have Bat-A-Round. Pick target. Closest threat facing in range, closest threat in field of view. Move and attack target. Speed 2, accuracy 5, damage 1. I believe this is actually one of his lowest accuracy cards, but continuing, after damage effect. The monster playfully bats the survivor around. They suffer brain damage equal to the monster level. That's not that horrible, but we are looking at basic cards. Next up, we have Chomp. Closest threat facing in range, closest threat in field of view. This is pretty much, just like you saw with the last one, the standard targeting for most of his AI cards. Move and attack target. Speed 1, accuracy 2, damage 1. After hit, Headhunter always hits the target's head location. Now, if you see an AI with a skull on the bottom, the card immediately reverts to this. That meant that a permanent hit location is in effect and is causing this effect. In this case, no jaw. The white lion vomits blood all over itself. Any adjacent survivor gains +1 insanity. Next up is Claw, which there are 2 copies of. The usual targeting priority of threat facing in range, then field of view, and is the exact same thing as the basic action. Speed 2, accuracy 2, damage 1. Combo Claw is next, and also uses the standard targeting priority, facing in range, and then field of view. Note, on these, field of view isn't also followed by enrage, so he will chase after things that are further away. So he moves and attacks, and there is a reason I'm stating that every time. Sometimes it doesn't always say that. There are some cards in this game that say attack, then move, or move, attack, or things like that. But the point is, this is indicating move him normally and then make an attack. Speed 2, accuracy 4, damage 1. Then following that, if this attack deals damage more than once, so in other words, hits with both and you dodge neither, draw an AI card. I recommend dodging this one because an extra AI card is no fun. A permanent injury trigger effect on this one is Lost Hands. The white lion stares sadly at its bloody stump. Any adjacent survivor gains +1 understanding once per lifetime. Now, while I won't be stating what hit locations are going to cause these most of the time, as you'll be able to just reference them in my hit location videos, this one is Strange Hands, and I'm mentioning that because that's one of the ones that's removed by the level 3 white lion. This also used to not say once per lifetime back in the original game, as this used to get used for an infinite loop, where people would find ways of making this last AI card after tearing the hand off, and just get max understanding against a white lion in a single fight. Then we move on to Grasp, which there's also 2 copies of. This one has a different targeting priority. Closest knockdown survivor in range. Closest survivor in range. Doesn't care if you're in the blind spot. A lot of people think the blind spot makes you not a valid target. That's not the case. It's just the white lion has the tendency to not target things in his blind spot at all. Move and attack, 1 speed, 2 accuracy, and 1 damage. After damage, the white lion isolates its prey, full move the white lion away from all threats, target suffers grab. Again, a good thing to dodge because then he doesn't move and mess up everything with the positioning of the party. And it re-explains grab afterwards. Then we have Power Swat. Closest threat facing in range, closest threat in field of view. So standard targeting. Move and attack with a speed of 1, accuracy of 2, and damage of 2. After damage, knockback 6. Sometimes this isn't horrible, but, again, messing up your standing on the fight gets kind of annoying, especially since knockback 6 or more makes it so you can't get back to the fight even if you can get back up that round. At least if you have a standard movement of 5. And it does specify 6 spaces in a straight line directly away from the monster. Then we have Revenge. Pick target, last survivor to wound in range. Then closest threat in field of view. Speed 2, accuracy 2, 2 damage. This is one of the basic cards that does more than 1 damage. After damage, the usual isolates its prey, run away, grab. Again, very good to dodge if you only got hit by one of them. That's kind of the problem with this one. Get hit by both and only dodge one. Sides up, which there is 2 of. Pick target, random threat in field of view. Intimidate target. The monster stares down its prey. Turn to face the target and roll 1d10. On the result of 4+, the target suffers 1 brain damage per monster level and is knocked down. There's no dodging this. This is an attack, it's an intimidate, and while there are ways to avoid those, I'm just saying, you can't dodge this kind of stuff. And the last of the basics, we have Vicious Claw. Pick target, random survivor in range. Remember, random survivor means if you're the monster controller, you don't get insanity, as you are not able to pick yourself. Random cases do not reward you survival, same thing with AoEs or target everyone. But to the actual attack itself. Move and attack. Speed 2, accuracy 2, damage 1. After damage, target gains 1 bleed. Lost hands. This is the same effect as before. Gain 1 understanding kind of thing. This is the same effect, thus it is still only a once per lifetime, even though there are 2 cards that cause this effect. And remember, either way, it still cancels the attack if his hand is missing. Next, we go on to the advanced cards, which there are 9 of in total, meaning against a level 3 white lion, you will use all 9. Alert. This is a mood. For clarification, moods have the tendency to stay out of the deck. This does mean that the monster's health has been temporarily, if not permanently lowered, as it is still a card taken out of the AI deck. But it can be removed and would then be returned to the discard, not the wound pile. Unless something says otherwise, there are no ways to remove the wound unique to that card and must be removed via generic means, such as Whisker Harp. When a survivor moves into the space within the zone of death, that being all these blue squares, which is 4 spaces away from the monster, including diagonally, which is not something this game normally does, stop their movement, they gain the priority target token, discard alert, and perform basic action. So, this is a little odd that it says that instead of just discard alert, perform basic action. It gives you the priority target, meaning you're going to get targeted by it, and then priority target's gonna go away. Follow-up, when the monster is knocked down, discard alert. If the monster moves in so that you're in this location, that doesn't count. So range characters are fine with this. It's when you move within it that it triggers. If you start in it, that's fine. Next is Bloodthirsty, which is also a mood. When this comes into play, draw an AI card. Drawing an extra AI card happens with many moods in this game. When a survivor suffers damage for any reason, place 1 token on Bloodthirsty. At the start of each monster turn, if Bloodthirsty has 3+ tokens, remove all tokens and perform basic action. So, this is before the AI card is drawn, meaning the hit location that can make it so he'll cancel an AI card is not been checked yet, and he'll still do it. And this can only trigger once per turn because it removes all the tokens regardless of how many there is. So it's not do a basic action for every 3, it's when there's 3+. Do a basic action. Nope, there is no generic way to remove this. Next up is Bloody Claw. Closest survivor with the most bleeding tokens. Move and attack target. Speed 2, accuracy 2, after damage. Target suffers -1 survival. So if you can, dodge anyway. So if you can dodge to avoid the attack, dodge, because you're going to lose the survival anyway. Then also, because bleed 2. And again, lost hand. So if he's lost his hand, cancel the attack and gain an understanding from it if you haven't already. Then on to Enrage, another mood that also draws another AI card when this is drawn. Enrage is a pain in the ass, especially if you've ripped the White Lion's balls off. Again, we'll cover that in the hit location deck, but that's another +1 damage on top of, while Enraged is in play, White Lion gains +1 damage token per monster level, unlike ripping its balls off where it's just +1. And then it explains the damage token is increased to the damage dealt on monster's attack profile, so it's per hit. When a survivor suffers a dismembered, severe injury, or is killed, discard Enrage. You're more likely to see the survivors killed before they lose a limb. Next, we have Ground Fighting. Ground Fighting is the reason most veteran players will recommend to all players, no matter how blind they want to go in, to make bone darts before fighting your first actual level 1 lion, as in after the prologue, if you can. The monster flops onto its side, waiting for attackers to draw near. While ground fighting is in play, do not draw AI cards. So this is great when he starts with it and you have terrain on the board that you want to harvest, because you can just go do that, like don't even bother counting turns unless you have some other start effect. Or if you want that effect to go away, just let it go away automatically if it goes away over time, because he doesn't do anything. He just sits there and plays dead. When a survivor spends an action in the zone of death, which is the spaces immediately around, including diagonals, which when it comes to immediately around, it usually includes diagonals for a zone of death. Before resolving the action, the monster performs a basic action with +2 speed and +1 damage targeting the survivor. This is horrible to survivors against a level 1 White Lion. When the White Lion is wounded, discard ground fighting. So this is able to be countered by any ranged attack whatsoever. Just make sure to remember that he still reacts to his hit locations and will still move around and stuff like that. It's not as if he's actually knocked down, which would cancel his reactions. And it's any action in the zone of death that includes hiding in tall grass or gathering a dried arcanthus, and it matters that you're standing in, not the thing that you're interacting with is in there. Next up, we have Lick Wounds. This is an annoying card. If the monster has no wounds in the wound stack, discard Lick Wounds and draw another AI card. But onto its actual intention, because that's really just, hey, this isn't going to do anything, so draw another card. Full move the White Lion directly away from all survivors. Turn to face the closest survivor and heal 1. And this is the first statement of heal for a monster. Move the top card from the wound stack to the bottom of the AI deck without looking at it. Then return Lick Wounds to the top of the monster's AI deck. So not only if it's its first card or there are no wounds when it's drawn, you find out it's there and you have to wait for it to cycle back through the deck to get rid of it. Unless you manage to hit and wound the monster after this has gone back on top, you're going to have to deal with it again. And that full move away, that's what makes it really annoying. Otherwise it's just like, okay, whatever. Next up we have Maul. Maul has a interesting targeting priority. First, victim of grab last round. Doesn't matter if they're in range, although they should be. And that can potentially be more than one character, both in the fact that because of his reactions, he can do grabs multiple times, and also because of the fact that more than one character can be grabbed at a time. But following that, closest knockdown survivor in range. Move and attack, target, speed 2, accuracy 2, damage 3. After damage, target gains 1 bleed and is knocked down from bash. So yeah, this hurts. This is literally a hit them while they're down card, honestly. Next we have Smart Cat. Reveal the top 10 AI cards, 1 card at a time, which if you're fighting a level 1 White Lion, is all of them, and if you're fighting a level 2, is most of them. Put the first 2 mood cards revealed into play, then shuffle the AI deck. If no mood cards are put into play as a result of Smart Cat, draw an AI card. Then archive Smart Cat. So, Smart Cat, not so smart, because it still hurts its brain and does a damage to itself effectively. That can't be healed. But this does also mean that if you draw 2 moods that say, oh, each draw an AI, that means on top of those 2 moods getting into play, he is drawing 2 more AI cards during that turn. It can be a pain, not to mention all the moods are beneficial to the White Lion. Terrifying Roar. Pick target. All non-death survivors. Again, another moment in which you cannot gain insanity from it. Intimidate. All targets. Roll 1d10 per target. If the result is 2+ and is higher than the target's courage, target suffers 1 brain damage per monster level. And knockback 6. The knockback 6 is the part that doesn't make much sense to me, but it saves you a bit from then perform a basic action targeting the furthest survivor in range, which really just moves them in range more so, unless they were right on top of him to begin with. Lastly, onto the legendary cards, which there are 2 of, and are to only be included in a level 3 White Lion normally, and thus would include both. First, we have Golden Eyes, which is a trait. Traits are effectively moods. You saw some of them earlier, but those were start in play ones, that when drawn, they just come into play, period, and cannot be removed. The White Lion gains +1 speed and +2 accuracy, adding on top of the already 2 accuracy from the baseline. Again, these are tokens. When the survivors attack the monster, they suffer 3 brain damage unless they are in the monster's blind spot. A survivor with 6+ understanding may ignore the brain damage by averting their eyes. If they do, they suffer a -4 accuracy when attacking. If a monster is killed with golden eyes in play, up to 2 survivors may consume the eyes, each gain +1 permanent accuracy. So it's a way to potentially farm accuracy bonuses, because this does not say once per lifetime. Then we have the other legendary card, Vanish. Vanish is a duration card, and the only one in the case of the White Lion. Duration cards have multiple different effects for when they're drawn based on how they're drawn, and they're stated in the card itself. They are usually drawn, then placed on top of the deck face up, and then when drawn again, usually the next AI card, they have an effect. So you know it's coming, and in some cases you're able to knock it off of the top of the deck as a normal wound. But Vanish specifically is, when Vanish is drawn face down, remove the White Lion from the showdown board and remove the priority target token, assuming it can be removed. When Vanish is face up on top of the AI deck, a survivor on a space with tall grass, which there is always 2 of, at least against a White Lion, beyond the prologue, may spend an action and roll a d10 to search. On a result of 9+, so a 1 in 5, the monster is found. Place it adjacent to the survivor and discard Vanish. Assuming you don't manage that, which you'll be given a full round to do, when Vanish is drawn face up, target a random survivor and place the White Lion adjacent to them. Note, even if you still have the priority target token, it says a random survivor, it's not an attack profile, so you do random still. The target is doomed, which again is you can't spend survival, and usually can't do anything either. Attack target. Note it doesn't say move, but it should be right on top of it anyway. Speed 4, accuracy 2, damage 2. After damage, if the target survives, 0 presence, story event. I'll cover that in a few seconds. But this is a speed 4 attack on a level 3 White Lion, meaning it should be at least speed 6, with an accuracy of 2+, meaning you probably need a much higher evasion to avoid it, because it's technically an attack of 0, but nothing drops below a 2+, because 1s are still auto misses for the monsters, just like the players. And a damage 2, which should be a damage of 4, so this hurts like hell. Very possible to survive, but you can't dodge it, so you'll need a lot of armor and or evasion. And that's the last of the AI cards. So to finish up the stuff up close, we go on to Zero Presence as a follow-up to this. Zero Presence. Which is more terrifying, you ponder? The monster or the sudden absence of it? Honestly, a good question, because you're facing down to level 3 at this point. As the monster vanishes before your eyes, you can't help but wonder how anyone has survived up until this point. It's possible that the monster tricked you, or has some sort of special organ that allows it to hide itself beyond the lantern light. You tremble with dread. You watch the monster's soundless movement, and internalize how it slips outside the lantern light. There's a chance you might learn something. Learn! Roll a d10. On a 1 or 2, you're confused and mistakenly believe the White Lion has found a way to create darkness by eating light. Gain Fear of the Dark disorder and +3 insanity. Again, one of the worst disorders in the game. 3 through 7, without Forbidden Dance. Your mind leaps from one idea to another. If you have +3 understanding, gain the Rhythm Chaser fighting art. Never a bad one, but you might be full up on fighting arts that you want to keep at this point, which would make it bad. But if the settlement has Forbidden Dance, an idea seems to flow through you, and proceed to the 8, 9, 10 result, which is 8, 9, and 10, of course. Lack of presence. A moment of clarity. If you focus on your movements, the shifting of your garments, and the impact of your footstep, you can minimize your presence until it is barely perceptible. When you drown your own lantern light, you become invisible until you attack. Gain the Zero Presence Secret Fighting Art and +3 Insanity. And onto the Zero Presence Fighting Art. Zero Presence Secret Fighting Art. Now, a reminder, a secret fighting art is basically a fighting art that must be earned a very specific way, or one of many ways. In the case of Zero Presence, there is actually a second way, but I'll cover that in a later video. These cannot be earned from Learn a Random Fighting Art deck. Gain +1 strength when attacking a monster from its blind spot. When you are attacking a monster, you are always considered to be in its blind spot. So, if a monster doesn't have a blind spot, this becomes questionable, but this does mean you'll basically have a +1 accuracy all the time. And thankfully it says when you're attacking, not at all times, because there are monsters that do prioritize attacking things in their blind spot, and you could be across the board and you'd still be the highest target, which arguably wouldn't be a bad thing depending on its movement speed.
Alright everyone, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. If it was, feel free to press the like button. If you think this will help somebody else, please share this video. Either way, you'll help this video get seen more. If you didn't think this video was helpful, go ahead and press the dislike button. I won't mind, but please leave a constructive comment as to why. Also, feel free to comment in general. And if you want to see more like this, be it more board game overview videos, my unboxing videos, or my painting videos, feel free to subscribe. Regardless, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.